You guys have been in the game for more than 25 years. I don't think a lot of your fans, clients, even friends probably know the real story on why you started BAM, how it all started. I know it starts with a move from California. Tell us the story of BAM.
Originally, it was really just an opportunity to provide for our family. At that point in time, we were having our first child. We were working for a really small firm, and they wanted to expand. We visited a couple different cities, Arizona, Phoenix. It's too hot, right? We wanted to stay in California, but at that time, the company that we're working with really didn't have a big vision. Long story short, we flew into Denver's airport, which I thought was the middle of nowhere, 20 something years ago, to check out Colorado in January. And then Kristy and I were arguing, driving from the airport to the hotel, because we're like, we're not staying here. I mean, this is the middle of nowhere. I've never flown into an airport that was that far away. And then it snowed, and then it was sunny. And then originally we were just looking for, a house, but the houses we were looking at were just like way too far away in a suburb. Kristy was going to live in a suburb. But to answer the question, starting BAM was to, provide an opportunity for our family.
It was really about the kids, about being present in the kids' lives.
Yeah, we wanted control over that. So starting your own business being an entrepreneur allows you to set your own schedule, provide for your family. So it was really more about for the kids, being there for them, being able to walk them to school, going to all their sports. So for the first 15 or 16 years, the practice was a lifestyle practice. But I would say BAM has had a couple rebirths. And the most recent one, which is the one that we're focused on now, which we really started in 2019, is growing the practice based upon the team. So now Kristy and I soulful, because our kids, they don't really want to hang out with us anymore. They've got their lives, they're in college. So now it's really about the team, pouring into the team, providing the team with opportunities that they're probably not going to get at any large firm, and then growing the company that way, where before it was really based upon my shoulders and Kristy's shoulders, but that has a short lifespan, right? You can only go so far with two people. Now with the team, we're 14. I feel that we're just beginning. I mean, we can take this thing to a whole nother level. So our vision is much bigger now. Our mission statement is to empower each person to have a healthy and confident relationship with money, so they can live freely, give generously, and face the future with peace of mind. And that's our mission statement internally for our team, right? What we believe at BAM Advisory Group, we want each one of our team members to have a healthy, confident relationship with money, so they can live freely, meaning they're not worried about money. If you come into BAM Advisory Group today and you really want to work hard, and you're a student, and you're humble, and you want more than what you're getting anywhere else, I mean, now's the perfect opportunities, because we are looking for leaders. We are looking for people that, if you look at our core values, extreme ownership is one of them. That means just own everything in the process, no excuses. And if you're that type of individual, and you're a student, I mean, you want to learn and grow. And we've promoted people within a year and a half that were there, making, I wouldn't say making more money they ever thought they could, but the opportunity, the income, just being part of a team is just, what we've seen the last 4 or 5 years has been incredible.
What drives you now, based on even some of the mistakes and some of the journey you've been on?
I think one of our biggest challenges that we faced was 2008. We were like babies in the industry. I remember a friend of mine from California said to me when she found out that we were going out to open a business, if you make it past 5 years, like, you should be good. And so 2008 happened within 2.5, 3 years of the time that we moved out to Denver. So I think the biggest lesson from that time, because the entire world blew up. So of course, everything that we had been working on blew up. There were a variety of things that happened. In fact, it's still, looking back, shocking to me that we made it through that time. If you don't remember that human nature is to make it through, then you lose time, really. I lost tons of time because I was stressed out and I was thinking about, oh my God, what are we going to do? Thinking about all the worst things that could have happened. Meanwhile, my kids are like young and toddlers and having a good time. And instead of being 100% present I'm, sitting in a corner freaking out or behind my desk or, working on something on the weekend or whatnot. And so that time taught me mostly that it's like, yeah, we're going to make it through. Bring it.
What 2008 and 2009 taught us, because that was the last really great recession, was you can't go about this journey alone. Because back then the business was really dependent upon Kristy and I. So we wanted to build a business that was bigger than us. And if I look back at that time, one of the greatest lessons are, number one, you want to build a team. Number two, we didn't have a vision of really we had, day-to-day goals and tasks that we did that we helped people and we generated revenue. We lived a nice life, but we really didn't have a long-term vision and we didn't have a team, so our culture, you have culture, whether you want it or not. The thing is it intentional? So I think one of the biggest differences today, and we started, the rebirth of what BAM is today in 2019, we have a vision that's clear and then it is understood by everyone in the company. And then we have a culture. And to me, and I think this is where companies kind of miss out, you have sales, you have marketing, you have operations. I think most companies have that, but what they're missing is vision and culture. And when you have a culture, when you have a team that believes in your mission, then you can get through any tough time, because, whether it's this year, next year, 3 years, 5 years, 10 years from now, we're going to go through, market cycles repeat themselves. But I know because of the team that we have, the vision that we have, we're going to get through anything quicker and faster just because of those two components to the business that we didn't have in 08 and 09.
What is the vision?
We have what's called the Vision Manifesto, and it explains where we're at today, where we want to be in the next 3 to 5 years, based upon, we have an aspirational org chart, which means that we have, with every year we go into it saying, okay, what roles do we want to hire? Who do we want to promote? Things like that. It's expanding the company. We're looking at different areas within Denver. Highlands Ranch is one area, maybe Broomfield. We want to expand our marketing. Our traditional marketing has worked for a long time, but we're heavily invested in the digital. And we think once that pops, that's going to take the business to a whole nother level. And then, to continue that, it's not only to expand, people's opportunities, bring more team members in, but it's really just, for me, I have a selfish vision for each team member to be able to make at least 6 figures. Based upon their role, their tenure, and their time period. And I don't think you're going to find that in many financial services firms where the receptionist could make 6 figures, or whether, the person that's phone calling. Because if we accomplish that, then, again, everyone wins. And I think that's, one of my personal visions for the company. But when you come aboard BAM, we clearly spell out your role, your career path. I think that's another unique thing that, we've been doing is the minute we hire you, we're going to show you what your career path can be. So there's no question if you do the work in a year or 2 years or 3 years, how quickly you can move up within the ranks of the company. And that's if you want it. We don't call ourselves a family. We like to call ourselves a championship team. And if you look at championship teams, not everyone can be a Steph Curry, right? Steph Curry is someone who plays at a high level 80% of the time. But you do need good role players, and role players are important for any championship team. And I think we want our role players to be, the most highly compensated, show up to work in a very supportive, high challenge, high support, and just an environment that just, makes you want to wake up and go, I cannot wait to get in the office today.
It's funny because in everything that I do in BAM, I'm 1,000,000% structured. Like everything has a process. I'm all about crossing the T's, all about dotting the I's. And then when I talk about vision, or when somebody asks me the question about vision, I totally go into a different space. And I think that's really just kind of like the soul and the heart of who I am. My vision for BAM is really, I just want to create a company that is completely trusted and trustworthy by our clients, and of course by our team members as well. I think that stands out in any society, but especially in today's society. I spent a lot of time with my grandparents growing up, and my grandfathers were, all 3 of them, incredible men, incredible men. And they were the kind of men who, on a handshake, you could trust their word. And so my vision is being that financial services company for people and, of course, for our team members. And then everything else, all the numbers and how quickly we grow and how many people we are. For me, as long as that is the standard, being trustworthy, having each other's back, showing up, sky's the limit. And that always has to remain the same. That has to be the theme that is constant, regardless of whether or not we're a team of 14 people or 150.
So the vision of BAM for you, and I want you to answer this the way that it's written on your vision board in your office. Explain that a little bit.
Somebody have a picture of the whiteboard in my office?
You've been talking about it. This is your vision for
well,
BAM.
I mean...
you want BAM to be the
Uber of financial planning.
So explain that.
Yeah. So I don't remember who it was. God, my memory stinks sometimes with specifics and what person was on stage and what was their name and what are their accolades and what book they wrote. But it was somebody on stage, I believe at a Triad event it was at Schwab Impact. Yes. And she told the story about Uber versus a taxi. And she kind of took the audience through, this is what I went through in New York City trying to catch a cab. And she went through all the details, and it was raining and I had an umbrella and I'm waiting and this and that. And then she talks about Uber and that experience, that I can be inside warm where it's cozy, the nice hotel. I know exactly when the driver's coming. I know who's showing up. I know what they're, and she related that to financial services. And so, yes, that is on a technical side, my vision, the Uber of financial services, just to make it easy for people, right? Because finances is always the sticking point. It's almost above health sometimes for people, which I think is kind of wacky. It's above health until you have a health problem. A lot of things I think are above health until people have a health problem. But finances really just messes with people. It messes with their ability to have just an enjoyable life. And so if we can make that easy, if we can take out and remove the chaos and the worry and the concern, yeah.
And then there's another part that you're focusing on too, developing, that's on your whiteboard. Why don't you talk about that?
Gen 1 and Gen 2 leaders, because that's what BAM Advisory Group needs to continue. We are going to hit our time limit of how much time we either want to remain as present in the business or how many hours, say, per week we want to spend in the business. And so somebody has to take over that. We have to be able to pass the baton to somebody else. And so, yes, the focus is creating the Generation 2 and Generation 3 leaders of BAM Advisory Groups to make sure that they can continue to carry out the vision and the mission.
Yeah, Kristy and I definitely want this company to continue way after they put us in the dirt.
Why?
I think our industry is really screwed up. It's not standardized. I mean, I think an individual can go meet with 10 different financial advisors and hear different pitches, different philosophies and ways of doing things. And I've been in this 27 years and I've seen the wrong way to do it. We truly believe that we are providing our clients what is in their best interest, right? That fiduciary word, I think, has been weaponized a lot. And we're fixing a lot of problems that we see that other financial advisors either aren't paying attention to, or their firm isn't holding them to a higher standard, or certain people pose as financial advisors, even though they're not licensed to be really financial advisors. So we want to continue that work because the amount of difference, the amount of value that we provide to our clients, I believe, especially now, is needed. And plus the education, we want to make sure that people have a healthy relationship with their money. We have people that come into our office who have millions of dollars, and you could just tell they don't have a good relationship with their money, whether they were raised by parents that were very strict, or they feel that they don't have enough, or whatever it is. And we just want to make sure that when people hire BAM Advisory Group, not only do they have, one of our taglines is retire with confidence. Not only do they have confidence, but they allow us, our team, to absorb the stress and worry when the world gets sideways. And I think we We want that work to continue well past our life cycle.
It's overwhelming sometimes to think about creating a company that can continue past us because there's a lot of work that has to be done. But the driving force for me is, again, taking it back to being a trustworthy company. You know, if we can do that and that can extend past us, that's what society needs. That's what people need, you know?
No, that's
they
deep.
need people that they can trust. They need companies that they can trust. Like we can teach anybody. I tell our team this all the time. I'm like, I could teach anybody how to do paperwork really well, but I can't teach you to be ethical and moral. I mean, hopefully your parents taught you that. You know, and some people like to say, well, if they didn't, then, you know, you grew up to be an adult and it's like too bad. But no, like I want to be that person in other people's lives that is teaching them and mentoring them to be ethical, to, I hate to say it, like take the road less traveled, do the harder work because it's doing right by somebody else. So, you know, David can teach anybody how to be a financial advisor, how to sell, how to connect with a client. But we as a company are teaching them to do it as if they're doing it for themselves. They're doing it for a loved one. I've heard a couple of our team members say recently when we're contemplating like what we should do, it's like, well, what would you do if that was your dad? What would you do if that was your mom? And I think people hear that from me a lot, but that is definitely something that comes out of my mouth on a regular basis. And that is what BAM Advisory Group is about. And that is what we're teaching our team members. And that's what's different. And that's what needs to live on. I've had challenges with our business at times, right? Because people look at financial services or financial advisors or investments and you think about Bernie Madoff and it's all like negative. And I grew up in a household with a mom who was very altruistic. I mean, she didn't have much and she was taking us to St. James Park in downtown San Jose and we were feeding the homeless. So I always had a difficult time with rectifying how I was raised in the things that I really enjoyed and believed in and helping people with like financial services, right? Seems like the big bad bear, so to speak. And so this is kind of developed, right? I've learned how to bring those two worlds together. And so that's been really cool. And that's a big driving force for me. And it's been a big wake up moment for me. It's like, no, I can do that within the confines of financial services, the financial world.
Anything in 2025 last year that made you go, whoa, we really are becoming something more?
So the BAM Gala, I wouldn't say against it, but I feel like sometimes my answer to everything is no before it's yes. Amelia, our director of culture and marketing, she really pushed for it. And it was an experience that we put on for our clients. And it was Great Gatsby themed casino night, everybody dressed up in the Great Gatsby theme. And I was really overwhelmed with emotion at how many of our clients, first of all, I was worried they weren't going to want to dress up. Like I'm not a person who dresses up. So I'm like, of course our clients are not going to want to dress up. They came dressed up like to the nines. I mean, everything. Even one of our clients had like one of those long cigarettes. So they had the hair pieces and they had the flapper dress and they had the pearls and all of the things. And they were just beside themselves, thanking us for creating an opportunity for them to have a night to go out and get dressed up because it had been so long since they had had a chance to do that. So that moment just was like, wow, we are having such a positive impact on these people's lives. And I'm not even talking about the financial side of it, which we do. But they were just having fun. And I really think that fun and that positive energy, like it's going to carry them through life further than, you know, a big fat nest egg.
Yeah. I mean, that for sure was a champagne moment, as we like to call it. The Gala, which is our signature client experience, 100+ clients. A lot of them brought their friends some of them became potential clients, was one. For me, I was about recognition. Last year, BAM received the Best of Mile High Planning for 2025. And I wasn't shocked that we won it because I don't think we deserved it. But when you think of the criteria for that award, it was almost 3,000 offices from Longmont to Castle Rock. And then, you had to be somehow the criteria, you had to be a way to prove that you do real comprehensive financial planning. You're just not selling products. And then, a lot of that had to do with Google reviews. And we have received so many overwhelming Google reviews from our clients this past year. It's really humbling. So when we took the night out, took our team to the event, and we were top 3. So if you're top 3, first of all, you got to get nominated top 10. We made that. Then it got whittled down to the top 3. We made that. And then I'm like, the fact that we're here tonight, I was just happy with that. When they announced our name, I was like, wow, this is becoming bigger than us, because people are no longer walking in the office saying, hey, I want to speak with David. I want to speak with David. We now have a structure and a process to where multiple advisors, I'm at the point of my career where I'm not meeting with clients nearly as much as I used to just even a few years ago. So that recognition, that award was all about the team. And it just goes to show that, and again, we're just getting started. So yeah, like Kristy said, whether we're 14 or right now or 100 in a few years, this thing it's kind of that snowball effect. Once the ball starts rolling, you just got to the hardest part is to get the ball rolling. But once it gets rolling, we feel like it's unstoppable.
What's the biggest misconception about retirement that you wish every family knew?
Yeah, I could give you 10 answers, but I'll narrow it down to one, is that most people think that if you just have a pile of money, you're going to be okay. So we like to say a 401k is not a plan, an IRA is not a plan. And you have to understand that, just like in life, like I'll use this analogy, when we all have different doctors or, in our lives, right? You have a certain, when you're 20s and 30s, you're unstoppable, and then something happens and you go see your doctor. But as you get older, you don't have the same doctor in your 50s, 60s, and 70s that you did in your 20s and 30s. So like when you're saving for retirement, you're in your working years. We call your accumulation years. You're just stuffing money away in a 401k or an IRA. You really don't have to pay attention too much, right? You want to make sure your money's allocated correctly and all that other stuff. But once it comes time to where you're like, okay, I actually need this money, just having a bunch of money in a 401k and IRA is not a plan. We believe that most people that have worked hard and saved for retirement don't have a clear plan to maintain their lifestyle. And at BAM Advisory Group, we personalize retirement plans so you can keep your lifestyle and retire with confidence. There is a completely different set of rules when you start taking money out than you were saving. So I just think not having a plan as you approach the most important years of your life and how it affects your wealth could cost you tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of dollars or millions of dollars, depending upon your net worth.
I love your take on it. It's always so BAM Advisory. No. My take is like, it's totally different. It's just a different kind of a path, right? So I think that a lot of people think that retirement means that you stop working or that you have to stop working. And I feel like it's more, well, you get an opportunity potentially to do work that maybe is more satisfying to your soul. And again, I think about my grandfather because he worked from the time he was 6 years old. Like that's all he knew was work. And he was a garbage truck driver. He was a garbage man for BFI. And he did retire, but he never wanted to retire. And I think for him, it was a couple of different things. Like he did say that mentally, he wanted to make sure that he could keep his mind active. But my grandfather was also a very social person. Like everybody liked him. He was just a wonderful person. He was a guy that you could turn to for anything. He had everybody's back. He wasn't judgmental. In fact, my puppy, Manny, is named after my grandfather. That's how highly I think of him. So he did retire from BFI. He had bad knees because it was old school, jumping off the garbage truck. And, it was just that age that he had to. But he then went to work for my aunt who had a thrift store. And did he do hardcore work? Not really, but like he ran her trucks. He helped make sure that the trucks were picking up the loads that they were supposed to. And it was funny because if you talk to my aunt, she would say, yeah, Manny showed up with his coffee and he'd have his cigarette and he'd be outside in the yard chatting with the guys, whatever. He was obviously really trustworthy. He was family, so he did take care of things. But, that work that he did it did help her, but it really fed his soul. It kept his mind active and it kept him engaged socially. And he always loved animals and he always loved like trucks. We're going to go pick up a big load and blah, blah, blah. I don't know. That was what he loved. So yeah. So my kind of take on it on the personal side, I guess, is that you don't necessarily have to like stop working, and maybe it's not that you get a paycheck for it. Maybe it's, you're donating your time somewhere, but you're going to use your mind. You're going to be physically active and more socially active. And those are things that are going to keep you happy in retirement. Again, kind of regardless of what the nest egg looks like, because you can have all the money in the world, but if you are not like fulfilled, you're probably not really happy still. So yeah.
As you guys have grown, how's the BAM client changed in the last 5 years? And how has BAM evolved to meet them, that new client and the needs that they have?
Yeah, we actually have a ideal client. And it's not so much net worth, and I'll touch upon that. We do really highly sophisticated financial planning that covers 5 key areas: income, investment, taxes, healthcare, legacy. So there's a certain type of net worth that a client has to have for us to be able to shine for them, right? But, we like to say our clients are easygoing, down to earth, right? They want to be able to not only take care of themselves, but they want to provide for their family. We want a client that takes care of themselves physically, spiritually, emotionally, financially. And I could say that the ideal client that we work with knows for a fact they do not want to go about this journey alone. And they want to work with a team that they can hire and trust and build a relationship with. The way I look at it is that there's, again, the industry is not standardized. There's a lot of advisors you can hire. And, if you think about when you're going on a flight, right? You're going on a trip. I think most people have advisors who are just the pilot. Now you could walk into a plane and just imagine if it was just the pilot. The pilot could probably greet you. One pilot can probably fly the plane and land it. But man, I'll tell you what, if something goes on in that plane, everyone's screwed, right? When you hire BAM Advisory Group, you're getting a whole team. You're getting the stewardesses. You're getting someone that's going to put your luggage on the plane, take it off. Imagine if one pilot had to do all of that. So not wanting to do alone and hire a team that can trust, I think is really important. Now, as fact is how we meet their clients' needs. We are violently recruiting and growing the company, meaning that we are looking for daily, consistently top talent. The best of the best, because we want to, again, we're a championship team. If you think of championship teams know how to recruit and develop talent. And I can say that we can do that very well. So how we're meeting the needs of those clients is like each one of our lead advisors has a co-advisor with them. You're never going to see a lead advisor with BAM where they're in the room alone. We have a lot of support. We really put our advisors to where they're just talking and meeting with clients, make sure they're there with them in case of emergency, whatever it is their needs. So we are constantly hiring ahead before we actually need. I think most firms hire reactively. I can tell you we're very proactive when it comes to our recruiting and growing the team. So our clients are never going to call or email and not get, we're not going to be able to not get in touch with them really quickly. We want to make sure that, because we can't control the market. We can't control politicians. We can't control the world. But the one thing that we can control, because I come from the service industry. I thought I was going to be a chef and work in the restaurant industry before I became a CEO and entrepreneur of a financial services company. So the one thing I'm very sensitive to is hospitality. We like to say at BAM, we don't have a service model. We have a hospitality model, high level, high touch. We know your name, we know your kids' names, unique gifting, you name it. And the one thing we can control is that hospitality model. And I think that's a huge differentiator for our clients at BAM Advisory Group. And it's also a huge differentiator for our team. The way that we treat our team, Kristy and I kind of go back and forth on this because, we want to grow leaders and we think it's really important for people in their lives to struggle. Kristy and I struggled multiple times growing up. I mean, our company almost went bankrupt, and I don't have a problem saying it, in 2008 in the great, global recession. We held it together by glue, hope, wish, a lot of prayers, a lot of nights not sleeping, crying, wondering if I have to sell my house, get a second job. 17 years later, we're thriving, just because I think everyone needs to struggle, but we also want to make sure that our team feels like they're special and provided for, and it's a unique opportunity, and they're one of one and not one of many.
Well, and as parents and as leaders, you want two things for your kids, or say two things if you're taking it from the leadership perspective for your team members, which is you want them to go further than you, and you do want them to have it a little bit easier than you. But you have to balance out that easy, because part of the reason why we're where we're at is because we face challenging things and we continue to walk through the dark tunnel, So it's always really interesting. And it just changes, I think, from day to day. And it also changes from person to person, how easy you can or can't make things, because everybody's completely different. So you have to mentor everybody a little bit different as well. But as far as what I think is the difference in the BAM client, and I think there's really no wrong answer, but our clients, to me, seem more confident and more fun. Like, we have clients who are sending us pictures from concerts, like, at their rock concerts, and then with a picture of the socks that we sent them that's like, I'm retired, and one of our clients, I don't know if it's appropriate for us to say names, so I won't, but like, he has followed one of his favorite rock bands to a couple of different places, and with friends, some with his wife. And yeah, he's in his tie-dyed shirt, and like, this is his jam. And so we're seeing that, and like trips. And we got this really cool, not card, because it was on like 8.5 by 11 paper, but our clients, I believe, we're supposed to go on this like amazing trip, and then their grandbaby ended up being born early. So they put this whole like Christmas thing together about how they kind of got screwed, but at the same time it was a blessing. But their trip was supposed to be tropical. So they took a picture of themselves in Denver, because it was a tropical trip during Denver wintertime. So they took a picture of themselves in their bathing suits, in their lounge chairs in front of their house in the snow in Denver, and then went on to tell the story about how they had this amazing trip planned. They're in retirement, all of these things. And then boom, their grandbaby decides to come early, and they got totally derailed. But it was like all happy, all fun, joking, the pictures, everything. So yeah, I mean, like, they're confident, right? They're like, I'm traveling, I have the money to do that, or I'm not worried about my money. I'm traveling and I'm out here having fun and I'm living my best life. And so that's how I've seen the BAM client change, because maybe like, I think I've seen that change over the course of the last, like, what would you say, 3 years or so, 3 to 4 years. And prior to that, I don't remember ever really getting that kind of engagement from our clients. We're promoting it. I believe that we're providing a great foundation for that to happen, and they're taking it and running with it, right? So we get to inspire and encourage them to live in that way, and they are. And so, yeah, it's awesome. Confident, fun-loving, all those things.
It all starts with intention, and the intention is, we're not a big box firm that's just going to take everyone that walks through the door. And we mean that. As many clients as we say we want to work with you is as many clients as we probably won't even engage in a conversation, because we could just tell they're either standoffish, they're going to be very difficult to work with. There's a lot of firms that are going to just take on whoever. So when you have identified your ideal client, this is important, because you don't want to just take on a bunch of clients that your team has to deal with, and they're just like, oh, I have to go talk to so-and-so today. Where if we can really define our ideal client, which we've had, and stay true to our standards and core values, which we do most of the time, then the client experience and the team experience is just going to be this amazing thing, right? If you wake up every single day and you love who you work with, team, who you serve, clients, then that's a dynamic that I don't think a lot of people get to experience in their career. And I think we are constantly evolving that, getting better at it. But that's one of our unique differentiators of BAM Advisory Group.
Yeah, actually, one really quick thing that I'll say that's really cool that super basic, but I notice it and I love it, is when our existing clients come in for a review, like they roll into the office like they own it. They're walking to the kitchen area. They kind of look for the snacks. They're opening the refrigerator to grab something to drink. Of course, we are there and we are willing to serve them and they don't have to go get it themselves. But they walk in and it's kind of like, hey guys, they know us, they know our team, they know their advisors, the relationships are, more intimate. And so when they walk in, it's not like they're walking into their financial advisor's firm. They're walking into a place that kind of feels warm and like home and comfortable. So that's really cool that we get to experience that on a day-to-day basis sometimes.
Is there anything, David, that you've noticed people walk in or they communicate with you where you're like, the brand's working?
I think when you come into a financial advisor's office, some people dread it because they think their advisor talks over them or the relationship is very surface level. When you know that your client, when you see, now it's I hear, because I'm in the office a couple of days a week, not in the office. But when I'm in the office and we always make it a point to write down everyone that's coming in the office on a board that everyone can see, so that everyone can go, people can greet people by their first name. So when you hear people, come into the office and there's 3 or 4 hugs, like how many times have you witnessed a client walk into your office and the first 3 or 4 people they talk to, they're giving a hug to? I think that's really cool, right? Because look, we understand the first reason why people hire us. That's to execute on a financial plan. There's something that we're going to do for them that either they don't want to do or their current advisor isn't doing. And to maintain the relationship, there's a certain execution level and a certain amount of standards that we have to hold ourselves. So we'll never forget. We're not going to all of a sudden get to the point where people love us and give us hugs and send us cards and send us flowers, wine, candy, that we're going to just stop, not performing at a high level. That will never stop. That is the core of the relationship. But what it gets to grow to is this, beautiful thing that when people walk in, they start giving you hugs. They start asking you about, how's life? That to me is a perfect relationship, because look, right now the world is super divisive, right? Very toxic. You don't know what to believe, who to believe. And when you have a relationship with people that you can trust, that people that have your best interest in mind, you tell me, you write down how many relationships you have like that in your life. It's not many. That's what we kind of know is special at BAM Advisory Group.
The human element. When someone walks into your office and has tears in their eyes because they just lost their husband, and our team is helping facilitate the background so that they don't have to, taking that heavy lift on all the accounts and what needs to happen and what are the right answers. What am I supposed to do? We get to take that off the table for them. We get to absorb the weight of that. But when somebody walks into your office and immediately wells up with tears because they just lost their husband, it changes everything that you think about what it is that you're doing for them. So that human element is really important. And yeah, like David said, we are a financial planning firm. That is what we do. And that is what we're going to do at a very high level. But what makes us different is that human element.
Switching it up a little bit, if BAM was a person at a dinner party, what type of person would it be?
In our brand language, we say our biggest differentiator is that we are unapologetically authentic. So if you're going to tell me, you're going to say if BAM were to show up at a dinner party, who would that person be? Is the person that is just 100% themselves. Outgoing, funny, just charming, someone that you even if you only talk to that person for 1 minute, that person made the biggest impact that night. You'll never forget that person. That's the person that BAM would be at a dinner party.
Yeah. So I said honest, loud, smart, and funny. I think we said the same thing. Yep.
What's something BAM is doing in the next 12 months, besides some of the other things that you've already mentioned, that you're super excited about? Could be business, travel, whatever, but that you think has impact and that keeps you up a little bit at night. You're super excited about it.
One is just, our focus on digital, because we think digital is limitless. I mean, as long as you have, I guess, an internet, you could be in Siberia and you can, get all of our content. And I think that's very powerful, is our YouTube channel, our podcast. And we're really just, I used to drive to people's homes, and then we figured out, hey, I think we can treat our business like a doctor's office. Well, what does that mean? I think you could get people to come in your office and bring all of their investments to you. I'm like, no freaking way. And then we figured that out. And then I learned, well, you could actually get 30 to 50 people in a room, talk to them about your process and what you believe, and 10 or 12 of those people will want to book an appointment. I said, there's no way. So we have spent 15 months, figuring out our digital, our podcast, our YouTube channel. And I don't even, obviously, if you ask me my first year in the business, I was driving to people's homes. I didn't know what I was doing in a year. I was just surviving, making error after error and learning. Then doing seminars first year, really bad results. But now we've been doing these like 8 or 9 years. And so we know exactly what we're getting into and executing at a high level. So digital is very exciting. And then I would say, AI, in our focus, our investment into AI on how it can make our business more efficient. I don't think we're going to have a business where when you walk in, there's going to be a robot that's going to advise you. Kristy said the human element. I think we're going to lean into the human element more, but internally using AI for processes, training, you name it, has definitely made things more efficient so that our team can have more time investing into our clients. So that's the thing, right? There's only so many hours in a day. How can we get more time? And I think that's AI, because I believe that, I don't believe that we're going to get replaced by AI, because one thing AI can't do, or maybe it will, I don't think it can do, is it can't help you deal with the really tough decisions and tough situations when markets are bad or X, Y, and Z. But what AI, what will get replaced is, we would get replaced by firms that are using AI at a highest level. So our commitment to AI, the investment, I'm very excited about, because I think just like everyone else is using chat or Claude or whatever it is, we're just figuring out, and it's here to stay, and it's moving quick. And if you're not, adopting it, leaning into it, you will go extinct. So those two things to me got me excited.
Definitely digital. Thank you, 1BN. They are our digital marketing gurus, masters of the universe, Yodas.
It's very nice. All those things you guys said too about clients, et cetera, et cetera. I feel that way with you guys. So I identified with a lot of that. Yeah, we love you guys a ton.
Yeah. So digital, that popped into my head immediately when I thought about that question. And then mentoring new team members. Like, it's super cool. It's really cool. That's just somewhere I feel like I thrive. Maybe it was because I was the oldest daughter in a family with 4 kids. So I've probably been mentoring a little bit my whole entire life. But mentoring our team is it's really cool. And I have to remember, they don't know what I know. Because sometimes you come to the table and you're like, well, why aren't they doing it like this? Right? There's this expectation, and you do get kind of upset. And then, I have to check myself. It's oh, well, they don't know. This is a mentorship moment. That's actually a big thing that everybody hears. They might be sick of hearing from me, is everything is pause for a second. This is a mentorship moment, So yeah, that's probably my most exciting thing about 2026.
And I want to make it clear, this isn't the first time Kristy and I have built a team. If we go back to a previous iteration of the company, when we moved out to Colorado, in in 2005, we actually grew a pretty quick team rather quickly. The problem with that model back then, and I'm not going to go too deep into it, but it was a model that was based upon one way of marketing. It was a top-down model, which I don't think works in today's society anymore. And the culture wasn't, again, you're going to get culture one way or the other. Now we have our culture that was intentional. And even though we all liked each other and got along, it was everyone for me type of culture, which once stuff started breaking, you saw, everyone, including ourselves, we said, okay, I'm going to take what's mine and protect myself. Whereas, and I agree with Kristy, it's never been more fun because you still have different challenges with the culture because you're dealing with humans. But, we faced some challenges. 2022 was a challenging year. The market, 2022 was a challenging year to grow a business of financial services when the stock market drops over 20%. But we grew the business. We can go back to COVID. We basically were a client-facing business. In 2022 said, you can't do that anymore. It's illegal or whatever it was. And we figured out how to pivot. We grew the practice in 2020 and we found out different ways that we can engage clients. And again, that was because of our culture and the intention that we built. And we actually saw people step up and want to support the business first versus supporting themselves individually. So, I don't want to say I'm excited for the next challenge, but I just know that we are built now to weather, we call these storms. We're now built to weather these storms quick and get out of them. So you go from storming to norming to performing. And I've seen us go through that cycle a lot quicker now. So it's a lot more fun today too.
Yeah. And I'll say real quick, because it's not just about us mentoring people, mentoring our team members, mentoring Gen 2, Gen 3, but they're like mentoring us too, right? Because we're starting to become the old farts and they're like fresh little babies, right? So they come to the table with new ideas, and David and I are continually challenging ourselves to set what aside and listen to your team and to what ideas they have that are new and that are fresh as well. So we are learning from them. And also for myself and probably David as well, I am getting an immense amount of support from our team members and from the next leaders that we're developing and that are simultaneously developing us. And I would say that the end of 2025 was the first time that I felt like I could rest a little bit and nothing was going to pause, but they were running with it. And that's just going to continue to get better and better. And I'm beyond grateful for it because I'm a little tired in certain areas of the business, right? It's time for me and time for David to run the business at a different level, and for them to come in with the shovels, and they're totally doing it. And I'm like, yeah, it's wonderful. Yeah. So I'm really grateful for the support that they're giving us and the mentorship that they give us as well.
Once again, I'm David Afraimi, co-founder and CEO of BAM Advisory Group. Thank you so much for watching another episode. We hope you find the information very valuable. If you're enjoying this content and want more content just like it, click the like and subscribe button. It also helps us get this show, our content, out in front of more people just like you so they can also get some of this financial education. And if you're wondering if you may have a tax problem, if you're not sure if you have a well-written financial plan, click on the scheduling link in the description to the show and schedule a 15-minute, no obligation, no cost phone call with one of our advisors to see how BAM Advisory Group can help you. You can also visit our website at www.bamadvisorygroup.com and also schedule a call with us as well. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.